Hello book lovers, and welcome to day 20 of 30, where I talk about my top 30 books of all time in honor of my 30th birthday. Today we are going to be talking about another book that made it into my top books of the year. Oftentimes I say this was my favorite book of 2023, and that is going to be The Death of Vivik by Akwaeke Emezi. Akwaeke Emezi is an author that I have read other works from since I read this, but this was my introduction to them, and whoa, what an introduction. Part of me was like, oh no, I read their best work and now I'm never going to be satisfied again. However, I have continued to enjoy the work that I have picked up by them, but this is a very short novel, and in this book we are following the events both before and after the death of Vivik. Essentially, the story starts with a mother opening her door and finding her son laid out dead on her porch, wrapped in nothing but a beautiful blanket. And so she sets out to figure out what led to his body being placed on her porch like this. And as she goes out and talks to friends and family and neighbors, she starts to realize that there were things about her son's life that she just didn't know. Vivik has always been a bit of an interesting character from his youth. He was a bit of a sickly child where he would have almost like these episodes where he would almost, I guess, sleepwalk and seize and things like that. As he got older, he started to form a close relationship with some of the women in his neighborhood. And as he does that, he starts to realize a little bit more about his sexuality. And while they learn more about their sexuality and their gender, they start to form a bit of a taboo relationship with their cousin, who seems to understand them more than anyone else. This story is actually not really told from Vivik's point of view. Even when we flash back, it's primarily told from the point of view of their cousin and the way that he viewed Vivik throughout their life and then after his death. And we also get some points of view of Vivik's friends as well as other family members. I think I really do like a dual timeline, especially when it's occurring before and after a major event such as the death of a family member. I think that it always is such a great way for us to get to know a character, because we get to see them while they're alive, and then we get to see them through the eyes of the ones that are grieving them after they have passed away. We get to see the impact that they had on people's lives and then that lingering impact after they're gone. So I think that this book was just set up absolutely beautifully. I think the relationship between Vivik and their cousin, despite being taboo, was very addictive to read about. It was a very complicated, maybe not the healthiest relationship. However, they were the two that understood each other the best. And this book, I think, doesn't focus too much on Vivik and their journey with their gender expression, because we're not really following from their point of view. So we don't really get like a deep view into that, but we do see how other people around them react to these changes. And I think that it was very interesting that we are viewing these people that know them and care for them and are well aware of the threats that they are now facing by the fact that they like to present as multiple genders. And throughout this book, we get to see how this fierce protection and paranoia that people have for their safety actually harms Vivik almost as much as the actual like homophobia that is present here in Nigeria and around the world. So I think it was really interesting that you get to see that the existence of homophobia can turn even safe spaces into a dangerous space, because people just aren't able to relax. They aren't able to enjoy the safe space. They aren't able to really view it as a safe space. They're constantly looking for threats and expecting worst case scenarios. And so I think it was really interesting that that was addressed within this story. So this was beautifully written. The ending had me sobbing. I was ugly crying when I read the last chapter of this book. And I think it was just a beautiful story. I really think that it was beautifully written, and it is one of those books that I would highly recommend to anyone. I will say I'm not the biggest lit fic reader, and this is definitely within that genre. But as I've said with lit fic, I either hate it and am bored by it, or I absolutely love it. And this is one of those lit fic books that just beat the odds and became one of my all-time favorite books. So let me know if you read The Death of Vivik OG and what you thought of it, and I will see you tomorrow with our next book.